So I checked out this game called the Sapling. I thought it looked interesting, kind of like a sim version of the creature phase from Spore. Sure, it is in early access, but hey, sometimes early access gets a bad rap. It could still be a good Unfortunately though, it's not good. The Sapling is a life sim game where you make plants and animals and watch them do stuff. Oh right, I probably need to say more than that. The game has a scenario mode where you have goals and a sandbox mode where you can just do whatever. Let's go over the scenarios. The first one has you make a plant to start with. You have leaves which bring in sunlight and fruit that spreads so the plant can reproduce. Once you're done, you can put a couple of your newly created plants on this island and watch. Whenever you want, you can mutate the plant and change it. Since you're mutating off a plant with the most basic leaf, your new plant can have the second most basic leaf. There's no minimum time you have to wait before you can mutate either. You can just make a plant and then immediately mutate it into something else like some kind of evolutionary overdrive. There's no evolution points kind of system either. You can just put as much of whatever you want on the thing that you're making. Once you have a plant that lives for 100 years, you unlock molding. Not the life form, but sculpting. Yeah, there we go. Now you can make tall plant. Tall plants require more energy though, so you might have to expand the roots, but otherwise nothing is really different. After you make a taller plant that survives, you unlock branches, which are just juts off the main stem that let you put more stuff on. You know, do I really need to explain what a branch is? After that survives for 100 years, you move on to the next scenario. The second one is almost the exact same thing, but now the final goal is to make a plant that can survive way up high. This means that it needs deep roots and leaves that can survive the wind. There are a few stats like this when you build a plant. How much energy it needs versus how much it makes, what kind of temperature it can survive in, how soft the soil has to be, but none of this really ever comes into play. This scenario is the only time I had to design something like this. And like I said before, there's no evolution points or anything. You can put as much of anything as you want on a plant without much of a real downside as long as it has enough energy to function and you mutated it from the right plant beforehand. And the only thing that does is let you go down a linear tech tree. The third scenario unlocks brown plants? I was confused for a second on what this was supposed to be because there's no tooltips in this game. I eventually figured out that it's inedible bark, you know, like on a tree. Because it's a plant. I'm smart. And you get bark because this is the level where you get to make animals. In a very, very stripped down Spore fashion. You can't even edit the leg sizes. The only thing you can really do is change the body type. So I made an animal and it looked like it was doing okay, but then all three died at the same time because they didn't eat enough. But my plants had their fruit, which there is only one type of, by the way, very low to the ground. So I guess my creatures were just not smart enough to eat. I made a new monstrosity and mutated it to have eyes and ears. Mutating animals is the exact same thing as the plants. You have to go through the tech tree that has nothing stopping you from mutating 3 times in a row. Cool. The fourth scenario is that a meteorite will hit in 500 years, and you need to have an animal alive in 750 years. Oh yeah, alright, let's put this biology architecting to work. I'll just make some resilient plants and animals. Alright? Okay, I got the plant done. Now let's get the animal. I just gotta evolve it to have better parts and... Oh, maybe I did something specifically to kill the game? Let me try that again. I just gotta evolve my animal to have better parts Alright, so I can't even get to the meteor. I tried 3 times and every time I get to a certain point, the game just starts running at 10 frames per minute. Very nice. $8 game. I guess I'll see what the other scenarios are since this one doesn't work. Oh, that's the last one. I guess I can try Sandbox Mode. You can make things with all the parts straight from the beginning here, and you can also turn on random mutations and skip way forward in time. Now this would probably be cool to watch, but half the time whenever I create an animal, it just spawns with no body, and the game just chugs performance even worse than it normally runs, which is not good, and that's on top of the draw distance for what things actually are being very close. I just can't play the game. It doesn't work. And when it does work, there's not much of a game to play. There's a game to watch, but I don't know. This is not worth $8. It definitely needs more development time, early access or not. Please run far away. I'm sorry, but the sapling is not good.